Ooh, that looks tasty.
Gamer is back with another crowdfunding preview, and today we are talking about Power Vacuum from Keen Bean Games, designed by Caleb Wenzel Fisher and Malachi Ray Rempin. And I do apologize if I mispronounced those names. Now what this game is this is a trick-taking, kind of area control game in which each player is taking on the role of one of the appliances that is trying to take over as a result of the death of the dear leader, the vacuum. And after the vacuum's death, there is now a power vacuum. Get it? And each one of them is trying to take over. And what I have set up here is ostensibly a 4-player game. And you're going to play around and around until one player has been able to build their statue. Let me kind of bring this out here. And as you can see, the statue is broken up into 4 different parts, and there's a whole bunch of them. You can actually mix and match pieces, but each one is going to cost you 10 points. And so basically each part of the statue represents 10 points. So the first player to get 40 points is going to win, and there's various tiebreakers if multiple players build their statues at the same time. Now, with that said, what's going to happen is each player is going to be in charge of one of the appliances, though all 5 of the different factions will be in every single. Now, if you aren't interested in how this game is played and want to jump into my final thoughts, you want to go to the timestamp on the screen right now. Now what's going to happen is each player is going to be in charge of one of the 5 different factions, though with that said, all 5 factions will be in every single game. And for your first game, each of the factions has 3 power. And the very first thing that's going to happen is you are going to flip over one of these cards here, and that's going to tell you where the plugs start. So we have a plug here, and a plug here on red. And it's important to note that the idea is that these are actually plugs that are connected, which is where power will be transferred. Then additionally, each player will privately get one of these cards here, and at any point during the game, they'll be able to reveal it. When they reveal it, depending on how many cards they have left in their hand, then they will put their cube on there, and that's how many points it'll be worth if they succeed. So if, let's say, the telephone here was to play the card like this, that is saying that at the end of the round, they think the telephone will have the most power and the television will have the least power. However, they could also play it this way and say it's going to be the reverse. For each one of those that they have correct at the end of the game, they'll get, in this case, 6 points. If they reveal that at the very first turn, then they would get 8 points per. But they can also leave it face down the whole game, and then at the end of the round, they can reveal and choose which side, and if they are correct that one has the highest and the lowest, then they will get 16 points. But if they fail to do that, if they've left it face down, they will get 0 points. I will point out that you're also going to be getting points for every trick that you win, and at the end of the round for however much power you have left over in front of your faction. So in this case, if the game ended like this, or the round ended like this, then the telephone would get 3 more points. But if, say, it ended like this, then they would get 6 points. Now, let's talk about how the power is going to actually move. And to do that, I'm going to move away the faction boards completely, because I've already explained that. Each player is going to have 8 cards. And you can see that the backs of the cards are showing you what the suit is of the card on the other side. And that is mostly true. It's true except for when you get to the spies. So a card like this is a spy card. And even though on the back it looks like it is yellow, it is actually black and a spy card. And here's how that works. When you're playing in this basic trick-taking game, you must follow color. So if the first player plays yellow, if you have a yellow card in your hand, you must play it, period. If you don't, you can play any other card that you want. And red, which represents violence, is the trump suit always. So if I didn't have a yellow and I wound up playing that, I would win. But let's say that this is out there already and the next player does not have a yellow. Even though I will point out that the back of this card looks like it's yellow, it is not. So if you say you don't have a yellow and you have this card in your hand, you are telling everybody that this is a spy. But I could play this, and now I am winning because the spy card is always more powerful than the red, even though red is more powerful than anything else. If this comes out otherwise, it is weaker than the other cards. Now, At the end of, and we'll just put another one there. There we go. And at the end of the turn, what's going to happen, at the end of the round, what's going to happen is you're going to look at who has the highest number. In this case, the highest number is the 8, but of course we have the spy out there, but we'll pretend there's no spy out there. And in this case, the 8 would win because the 1 trumps the 3, and the 8 is a higher number than the 1. And so that would mean that whoever played this 8 would get 1 point for winning this trick at the end of the round. However, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Then whoever played the lowest number gets to adjust the power. And so this is when you look at the plugs. So in this case, the person and they get to move 1 power from one plug to the other. So they could move the red over to the brown, or they could move a brown to a red. Then after that's done, they will move 1 plug. Now I've moved it here to point out that this is going into the center. So that means the next person could either take a power from red and put it into the middle, or they could take 1 power from the middle and give it to red. Now I said the lowest number gets to do that. This is where things get interesting. Let's say that this was what the final hand was. In that case, red here wins the trick because it played the trump. However, it also has the lowest number, so that means whoever played the red would both win the trick, getting a point at the end of the round, and they have also played the lowest number, so they get to adjust the power. And after all 8 cards have been played, then you will go through and you will see who has the most power, and I'll just kind of move some stuff around here and see where we end up. And in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the telephone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the toaster. Both of those are the highest, so they would both take one of these with the highest. And then we have the blender and the television both having 2, so they are both the lowest. Then you would go through, everybody would evaluate, did they get points for these right here? They would then get the opportunity to buy any statue pieces if they have 10 power. Again, power being whatever faction they are, they take all of those, and whatever they got for their tricks and for their secret agendas. Then and then I'll point out that the silver lightning bolts here represent 5. And then after that's been done, people have built any pieces of the statues that they can. Then we reset the board for the next round. And all of the factions that had the most power will start the next round with only 2 power. The factions that ended with the lowest power will start the next round with 4 power. And then the other factions will have 3 power. And that's how this game works. So what do I like about this game? The first thing that I particularly enjoy is I like all the puns and the power vacuum theme and this kind of idea that like the brave little toaster's grown up, except it didn't go on an adventure, it kind of stayed and it became this kind of authoritarian house. And I really enjoy that. But talking about the mechanics of the game, and also the building up of your dictatorial statue, that's very fun as well. But getting into kind of the gameplay itself, I really like this combination of trick-taking and calling it area control. I don't know that it's really area control, but that's the best word I have for it. And I really like the way it works because I like that you're getting more power by winning tricks, which trick-taking, right? You want to take the tricks, usually. And so I really like how that works. But I also like that the person who isn't going to win the trick can play a low card, can throw the trick, because that's going to allow them to change the power balance on the board, and that to me is where this game shines, especially because it is possible to both win the trick and have the lowest number, which I think is amazing the way that works because of the way the secret agendas work. And I also really like those secret agendas. I love that you can throw out that agenda early and you're going to get big points for it, but now everyone knows what you're doing and can try to stop it. But at the same time, if you don't reveal your agenda, it's worth big points, but it's also that much harder to actually make it happen. Yet, if you reveal it a little bit later, you have a better chance of at least one of the two happening, but of course you get fewer points for it. It's really, really clever the way that works. I know it sounds very simple, but just the way when you're playing the cards, you're flipping it one way or the other, it just works so well. And that combined with whatever is kind of left over on the faction that you are playing, you get as points, makes it work even better. So what I'm saying is I find this a very, very clever, enjoyable trick-taking game. But
the thing that shines the most for me is you can always see everybody's suits. You know what they have, or at least you think you know what they have because of the spy suit. I love the spy suit. I love that someone can throw out the Trump suit and they go, ha, I win. They go, oh, sorry, spy. And then they take it. I think that's great, but I love the fact that you know what people have. You have that bit of information that you're able to say, okay, they don't have any yellow cards. So I know if I do this, they can't follow. They're going to have to throw out one of their other cards or whatever. I really think that works really, really well. So, what are my quibbles with the game? Well, the first thing is, and I don't usually, well, sometimes, I try not to talk too much about what I wish was in the game, because the game is what the game is, and I do think the game works well. But these characters are so cool, I'm disappointed there's not some kind of mini module that makes them different, right? Because it has an area control vibe feel, I want these to feel like factions. I want to feel like I'm supporting this faction. And with that, I want the faction to do something a little bit different. And I have no idea how you would do that. You probably can't do that. I don't know. But if you're going to have these cool characters and you're going to feel like this is who you're supporting, I want to be like, okay, well, this is what my platform is. This is why I'm supporting this person. I want to kind of dig into the theme a little more. I want that theme and the mechanics to mesh and reward both sides, theme and mechanics. And also, this is another component thing, and again, this is just a prototype, but while I love those statues, figuring out how the statues are supposed to look is all but impossible. I had to go to the rule book and just look at the examples as they were marked out to try to figure out what was supposed to be what. And so, the statues are the coolest thing, the coolest way to see who's winning, and I want them to be cooler than they are. Now, I'm not saying minis, though I will say like some Lords of Hellas style minis that you're building would be amazing, but just something. Maybe it should be, I don't know what it should be. At the very least, put on the back what faction it's supposed to be for, or make it colored, I don't know. But it just isn't as cool as it can be. I love the idea, and I love the way they look when they're done, but I want more out of those. Like, if you're gonna put them in the game, make them amazing. I guess that's what I'm saying. And then as far as the mechanics go, I really don't have many quibbles, other than the way the spy cards work. You do have that time when, because you must follow suit, where people are like, no, see, you have a yellow card right there because you can see what's the back, which of course is part of the fun, part of the information that you're getting, because now you know they don't have a yellow card, they have a spy. But there is that moment in games where you're going to have that moment where people are upset that you're clearly cheating, and then you have that moment, and it even spells it out clearly in the rulebook. It says, look, when this happens, this is what's going on. But it's just something to watch for, and I'm being super nitpicky here because I don't really have any quibbles about the mechanics of the game. I think it's a very clever game. I don't know that I really want to spend time playing at low player counts. It worked well at 3. It'll work really well at 4, I think. So I think this is one of those games where you really want a higher player count. A lot of times I'm like, this game plays to 5, but really 3 is where it's at. This game plays well at 3, but I think probably 4 and 5 is where this game's really at, where it's really going to be popping. But there you have it, folks. That is Power Vacuum. I said yes to this game mostly because of the puns. That's why I agreed to cover this game. And part of me knew that I had some friends, Streamline Matt in particular, who really likes trick-taking and likes the idea of kind of area control, so I'm like, okay, he'll probably play it with me. But I really, really enjoyed it. I think this is going to be a wonderful game to have at conventions, because it plays pretty quick, it's interesting, it's easy to understand. All around, I really am impressed with this. There are a couple of things, as I said, component-wise, that I hope they really make pop. And I think there's some opportunities for some fun little modules to be put in there, though maybe I'm asking too much there. So there you have it, folks. As always, if I've made any mistakes in the rules overview, please let me know in the comments with the timestamp so I can get there and click on subtitles. If you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, and maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.